All right, everybody. I'm Logan Alec. I'm a CPA. I help people with their tax problems. If you owe the IRS at least $10,000 in back taxes, please reach out to me. I tell you how to do that in the description below. All right. So today I want to cover some breaking news right now, and that is that today the Biden administration has announced that it supports a temporary waiver of intellectual property protections for COVID-19 vaccines. This doesn't mean that this is a done deal, but having the White House behind something like this is a pretty big statement, because if these intellectual property protections on COVID-19 vaccines are waived, then scientists in other countries can create their own coronavirus vaccines without having to worry about patent infringement, right? From companies like Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, etc. I'm not a lawyer, okay? But even I can imagine that how big a business pharmaceuticals are. Vaccine manufacturers fight tooth and nail over their innovations and intellectual property. Today, Katherine Tai, who is Biden's trade representative, released a statement saying this is a global health crisis and the extraordinary circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic call for extraordinary measures. The administration believes strongly in intellectual property protections, but in service of ending this pandemic, supports the waiver of those protections for COVID-19 vaccines. We will actively participate in text-based negotiations at the World Trade Organization needed to make that happen. Those negotiations will take time, given the consensus-based nature of the institution and the complexity of the issues involved. So, as I'm sure you've seen on the news, while COVID-19 cases here in the United States and many other countries have been on a downward trend since the beginning of the year, cases in many developing nations in South America, as well as India, have really been skyrocketing. And so in light of that, the Biden administration, as well as COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers, have been under pressure to support a temporary waiver of COVID-19 vaccine intellectual property so that scientists in other countries, right, such as these developing countries, can develop their own versions of an effective COVID-19 vaccine. Just as an example of this pressure, last month, more than 170 former Nobel laureates, as well as former heads of state, including Gordon Brown, the former Prime Minister of Britain, Francois Hollande, the former President of France, sent an open letter to President Biden urging him to support a waiver. In Congress, 10 senators, including Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, sent a letter to Biden to prioritize people over pharmaceutical company profits. Ro Khanna, who has made a name for himself as one of the most progressive members of the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives, said, "This is one of the key moral issues of our time. To deny other countries the opportunity to make their own vaccines is just cruel." This is obviously extremely controversial. Even Dr. Fauci did not really want to voice an opinion, a black and white opinion one way or the other here. He did say in an interview this past Monday that it is the responsibility of drug makers to act here by either expanding capacities to supply vaccines to other nations at significantly reduced prices, or by transferring their technology to let developing nations make their own copies of these vaccines. He didn't go so far as to actually support a waiver, though. Fauci said, "I always respect the needs of the companies to protect their interests, to keep them in business, but we can't do it completely at the expense of not allowing vaccine that's life-saving to get to the people that need it. You can't have people throughout the world dying because they don't have access to a product that rich people have access to." But what I really want to know is what you think here. Do you think this is the right thing to do in this moment, given the global crisis, right? To waive these intellectual property protections that vaccine manufacturers have, or could a solution be pursued in other ways? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please be civil, of course, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.